Welcome to Seymour from the Front Pew podcast, coming to you from the broadcast studio at Seymour First Baptist Church in Seymour, Tennessee, and featuring thoughts and discussions around loving God, loving others, making disciples, and living the life. I am your host, Tiger Brooks, and now, on to the podcast. Well, here we are, Seymour from the Front Pew podcast, as we continue to have weird audio technical difficulties, but I think we are.
You got a gremlin.
We're making something happen here on the board, so we'll keep with it. And welcome back.
Hey,
we're grateful to be back here for another episode. And today we're going to take a few minutes to kind of reflect on, or allow Pastor Corey to reflect on his sabbatical, which kind of lay it out, I guess define sabbatical for those who don't understand the concept, and then kind of segue into how that developed here at Seymour, and then your specific.
Yeah. So I think if we go back, let's go back really even before I was here. So personnel manual was redone probably 2 years-ish. Were you here when it was redone?
Yeah, but it was in there before I came.
Okay, so they developed a policy for sabbatical in the personnel manual that basically reads that for our full-time pastors, you get a 4-week sabbatical every 5 years. Jason was really the first one to do one of those, from what I've understood. Did
that
Bruce
or maybe
ever do
Scott?
one? Did Scott do one?
I think I've heard that Scott may have done one.
So anyway,
but
at least in our staffing, Jason was the first one that did one. And a couple years ago, as we approached all that, we really talked through, so if you just go define sabbatical, the definition you find doesn't fit church ministry. It really fits academic world. It talks about being off for a semester or for a year, usually for writing purposes, or for reformatting what you are doing as a professor or something like that. So really, it doesn't fit. If I were to try to define it just very loosely for us, for pastors and for ministry, I would say it's an intentional break. It's an intentional break from where you are to renew. To find fresh vision, and I would even, I think that was one of the challenges for me going into it, an identity, a real look at identity apart from job and work, and so I think that was one of the challenges for me really going into it. But even going back to Jason's. One of the things that a couple things with that was policy was there, and I was so thankful for the policy. But one of the things that I've found, and this would be for anyone that has connections to other churches that are trying to figure this out or talk through these things, one of the things that was missing was, so the policy is there for the time to be away, but there was little structure in what, where, and how you were to use it, and that's fine. There was no structure for how you fund it. And the reality is, what I found, even while I was gone and coming back from mine, is that if that element is not there, it becomes a burden and not a blessing, because all your bills are still the same. All of what you have and are responsible for outside of work are still the same. And so if you're just adding 4 weeks of time that you're responsible for to go figure out, what I saw and what I have heard is that pastors that experience that typically end up with weeks at home, 50% of that time at home. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but your burdens haven't gone away. And so I've heard several that it did not go well. They would not do it again because they were left with being, this is not a bad thing, but they were left with being dad taxi for 50% of their sabbatical and they were running here and there and everywhere, but yet they felt this burden of trying to be productive and intentional and purposeful with this time that they've been blessed with. And so it really was counterproductive. But with Jason's, we kind of laid out this idea for some of the weeks that I think was really, really, really good for me. In the idea of a solo week, a week by yourself, a week with your family, a week with your wife, your spouse, and then kind of I would say a week to begin to revision, if you will, and that's what Jason did. I think it worked really, really well for him, and that's the way we started to approach it for me, and was very thankful for it. So, questions? Did I miss anything along the way on all that?
No, I think that you raise an interesting thing, something to think about. I think historically, number one, and please don't hear me, this is not a generalized universal complaint, but just a realization that most people in the ministry, let's say you are a church, your average church, and you want to give your pastor something like this. Well, the reality is many pastors don't take a vacation because they can't afford to take a vacation.
That's exactly right.
And so their vacations are, I don't go to work, and they stay at home, which in and of itself can be good. But like you say, you generally find yourself not achieving the rest and the refocusing that it's supposed to achieve.
Yeah.
And so it becomes a burden. If you try to go and, without any other financial assistance, okay, honey, we're going to get away. Well, you're incurring debt now. Yeah. And so it's at the end of the day, you've contributed to more debt that you're going to be concerned and stressed about, and you're not achieving what you're wanting to. And so that is just the reality of it, just being honest.
Yeah.
And so I think that as we lay this out, not just to tell the body about your time, but also maybe be a resource for other churches and other pastors who want to do this.
Yeah, and I would say, I would love to be available to talk to anyone, any member of any church that is thinking about what, why, and how to go about this. I would love to be a resource if I can be to help on that end. And so I think the other thing before we dive into the weeks really is to think about the why a little bit. So we said as a break, an intentional break. I love what I do. I've been in ministry full time for over 25 years, and I love what I do. But even approaching this, the last month before doing it, was this realization that I have never intentionally disengaged from a church that I was currently serving. And many times you don't really disengage from the church that you were serving, even in a ministry move, until months after it is gone. And in the middle of that, I would also say, I can vividly remember times where I was sitting in a condo at the beach on the phone dealing with issues, watching my family out at the beach playing or doing. I can vividly remember I had 7 hours on a phone on the way back from vacation before dealing with issues that were going on. I can remember having to get up from family Thanksgiving with Melody's family and leave all of my family there and go to a funeral in another city, and miss that portion of Thanksgiving. And hear me, I'm not saying that as in I'm mad about those things. Yeah. It is. I can vividly remember getting phone calls at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning and going to houses and being there for someone that had just passed away, or all of those types of things. I don't say any of that to say I don't want to do that.
Right. That's just the reality of the job. It
is the reality of the job. There is never a time where it is turned off and done. Mm-hmm. There's never a time where I think I'm unavailable, or those are the realities of what it is like for 25 years or whatever else. And so that is a little bit of the why. And so I think that rolls right into my first week. And everyone that knows me kind of felt like knew that first week was going to be very interesting. And so the solo week was first. I think what I felt like and what I saw, and I think Jason had already seen that, is that I actually think that first week this way, not exact as in it has to be this place or whatever else. I think that is a key for the rest of it being helpful and finding some purpose in it. And so Jason had done a camping thing where he had gotten alone and out. That was not going to fit me, and it was not going to work in July. I mean, like it just so I struggled with it just a little bit of what I was going to do. And somewhere through the years, I thought I heard someone say they had gone to a monastery and spent some time. And so I called and text. I mean, I know quite a few pastors. I tend to stay in touch with quite a few pastors. I called and texted all of my groups and people and thoughts of who had done sabbatical before, and I could not find anyone who had done that before. I mean, like I spent quite a bit of time trying to figure that out. And in the middle of all that, I found a monastery in Kentucky who offers what they call silent retreats. And so you have to book it ahead of time. And so back in January, I started looking at that, got it booked for my first week, and that's where I went on Monday. My plan was to be there Monday through Friday. And y'all, I was there. There were 30 other retreatants. They fed us our meals, nothing fancy, but very, very okay. I mean, like, they do at the monastery, there are roughly 30 monks that live there and that operate and work, and they do Vesper services 7 times a day. So they're starting at 3:00 in the morning through about 7:30 at night. So I determined that's what I was going to do. And with that, they have Wi-Fi and all that other stuff. I had determined that for me to make that break really successful I needed it to be a technology break too. And so I used my GPS to get there. I didn't carry my iPad or my computer or any of those things even with me. They all stayed at home or in my office. I carried my phone. I used my GPS. I got there and I put my phone in my glove box and locked it. And I did get in my truck a time or two again. I did use my GPS one other time, but I didn't engage with the rest of it the entire time I was there. We were there with 30-something retreatants. I couldn't tell you who they were, where they were from, anything about them because I never had a conversation with them. I know that's hard to believe.
It is.
But I didn't talk to them. We sat in silence and ate. I read 3 or 4 books between Monday and Thursday morning. I mean, y'all know how. Yeah,
that's more than you read in the last 5 years combined.
Right. And I mean, I read for my study, but I don't enjoy reading. I mean, like it's just not one of those things that I really love to do. And but it was really good. In that, there was a book called Solo that Jason's cousin actually wrote, and really, really, really good. And it laid out a structure for when you're going to do a solo break style like this. These are some of the things that you ought to think about including. And so in my head, I had a structure for the day. Now, what I struggled with is this structure that they lay out is for a solo retreat day from about 8 a.m. to about a dinner time, 7 p.m. I mean, I had a lot more time than that.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot more time than that. And not just a day, it was days, multiple days together. And so one of those things was a creative element. I don't consider myself a real creative or any of those types of things. And so I was telling Melody about it just 2 days before I was leaving. I was like, this is how I'm trying to plan out my day. And there's supposed to be this creative element. I don't know what to do. I'm going to take some journal stuff, but I don't like writing. And anyway, so, it's just, anyway. So I was like, really for me, my creative element, I think is working on cars. Like I enjoy, this weekend I pulled my whole dash out of my truck and put it all back in anyway. Just because I wanted one thing plugged up correctly. So anyway, but I enjoy doing that. Like it's kind of my creative element or whatever else. And so I didn't realize that. I actually went to bed that night. She ordered me one of the old model cars, that comes like in a box or whatever else. And so a lot of at night, like once I was really I couldn't be outside going and doing stuff or whatever else. I worked on that model car. I had cement and paint and all that other stuff and worked on that model car. And anyway, and so that was an element. And
where is that bad boy now?
it's at the house. I need to bring it.
Still got to finish it.
Yeah, there was, it's pretty close to finished, but one thing messed up some paint right at the end, and I really need to kind of sand it. Anyway, but I would say it set an incredible tone for the beginning of my sabbatical. It provided the break that was needed, and one of the first things, within hours of being there, was for me. So I tried to get there, I settled in, got all my stuff up to my room, all that stuff, and just decided to kind of take some time to read and pray. And I don't say this like real lightly. A month before my sabbatical, if you had said, "Hey, Corey, you can delay this 2 years and take 2 more weeks," I'd have said, "Let's do it," and I'd have canceled all my plans and we'd have figured that out, because it felt like a really, really hard time for me to be gone right now. And so in the middle of all that, it to some extent felt like something I needed to be doing, if that makes any sense. And not just for me. I felt like I needed to be doing it for me, but I also felt like I needed to be doing it for here, because if I don't do mine, it throws off the timing, because Austin needs to do his next year and Tiger needs to do his the next year. And and we've got all these things going and needing to fall in line. But within just a few hours was this reality of this is a reward and not a discipline. And not a discipline as in like I was in trouble and being disciplined for it, but this idea of kind of this spiritual discipline of something that you should be taking place in. Because, again, to some extent, I think that was kind of what it was. And that really just set the tone for me to just be able to break and enjoy without a lot of the guilt.
Yeah.
So really, that was one of the things that just kind of continued to carry its way through for the weeks to come. Also, now, again, that week I woke up, I think most people know by now, I woke up Wednesday, I would call it Wednesday night, but I guess it was Thursday morning, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning with just incredibly bad tooth pain. And so instead of coming home Friday, ended up having to come home Thursday, a day early. Ended up having surgery on Friday. But I'm very thankful that all of that worked the way it did, because again, I was from that surgery, for the next 2 weeks, I was home for less than 70 hours, maybe less than 60 hours. And so if I had not been able to get that coordinated, that was going to be hard. Second week was with our family.
Before you move to second week,
go ahead.
2 things that I want to say. Number one, as you're moving into second week, part of that resetting of that week 1 is also, I think for most pastors and those in ministry, is that even when we get vacations throughout the year, we get vacations and we're able to take those times. But I know for me, and I think you're probably very similar in this, that it takes 2 or 3 days into vacation to unwind and to be present with your family. And then a day or so before you're heading back, it's starting to re-engage and starting to think, what's coming? What am I getting ready to get into? And so our families don't, even on vacation, sometimes our families don't fully get us. And I think that's part of going into week 2 for you. But I want to ask you a question coming out of week 1. You made the comment about setting the identity or understanding your identity isn't in the job.
Yeah.
Because for me, that was week one. Week one is where that really hit. It's where it really began to. It was a big wrestle. I mean, it was kind of a spiritual battle to some degree of wrestling with that. Can you hit that? Did that happen in week one? Was that throughout the whole time? What did that look like for you?
Yeah, I would say yes, definitely hit week one, and so like personally hit for me where I need to be, what I need to be doing, how I need to be approaching some things. Still kind of held on to those things right now. But yeah, I think that hit in those first couple of days. And most all of that is outside of here context.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I think it continues for me. And I think a lot of pastors could say this, a lot of pastors' families could say this. Through the years, the church has gotten the best of me. And I don't mean that in a way like taking advantage of that or whatever else.
Right.
It just is, that's where I have done my best.
Yeah.
And my family's, I hate to say the worst of me, because I don't know that they've always gotten the worst of me, but they've not always gotten the better side.
They've gotten what's left.
Yeah, at times. And so, and I think I realized, like, part of that realization was just like, it doesn't have to go that way.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that I have to give up the good side of those things or whatever else. And so, but I think for me, it was a lot of me needing to reshape some logic and thoughts and those. I'm a process oriented guy. Y'all know that.
Yeah.
So I needed to reshape what some of what I was thinking and how I was approaching some of that, and how I was seeing that. And so I think that's taken place. But I think it really hit in those first couple hours, days there. So that was part of it for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I forgot. I'm supposed to be in another meeting, so I need to text him real quick.
I think while you're doing that, I just think that it was for me too. It was a real realization of that first week is the time where I'm now for the next especially in the first day, for the next 4 weeks, what I have tied myself to for so long, for 20 years in ministry in my job, and naturally we all have a tendency to make what we do a part of our identity.
Yeah.
But that first day was the realization for me that for the next 4 weeks, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And it was hard. And there was thoughts of just being transparent. And I don't know, I'm not saying this is where you were, but for me, it was, well, ministry's going to go on without me.
Yeah.
It's thought of things going on without me. And the reality is ministry, we are not necessary for what God's doing. But it was a real reality of trying to understand and to process that.
I had no doubts that everything was going to be just fine here. Full trust, no worries, all those types of things. Really, I mean, it didn't make not knowing any easier because I enjoy that.
Yeah.
I mean, like, and I've always enjoyed. Again, I enjoy what I do. But yeah, it is even in the sense of, okay, what am I outside of this? You know. And so, but again, in a challenging way, in a good way. So, was really thankful. Great few days. Ended up again getting a day short. I would have loved the day to have the day. I kind of had a little bit of a plan for what I was going to do with it. But I don't. Again, I'm glad I got this thing fixed in my mouth. So
But then week two.
Week two was family time. We did a family trip that included my mom and my sister and her husband. Some know this, some don't. Since I've been here, we've had 4 trips with them canceled.
Yeah.
So this was the first time that we've really gotten to do the trip that we had planned that got canceled before I got here with COVID. And so anyway, so that was really, really good. In the middle of all that, I think the blessing of that was that so that was big trip. I mean, so not just my mom and sister and her husband, but girlfriends, and there were 11 of us total. And it was a great week. Everybody got to kind of do their own thing. It was first cruise for 5 or 6 of them, which was a lot of fun. But for me, the highlight of that time away was every night for dinner, 11 of us sat down for dinner. And we didn't have to fix anything, and we didn't have to clean up anything. And we just, most of those dinners were an hour and a half. We just sat there and sat for dinner and enjoyed time together. It was a lot of fun. So, And everybody got the chance to interact. Everybody got the chance to try different foods and all those types of things. Emmy got steak every night, and she was thrilled. And it's funny is because this is the girl that before she came home with our adoption had eaten red meat 3 times. You know what I mean? So anyway, funny that she loves steak. And so anyway, but she got it every night. So anyway, that was kind of the highlight, I think, for week 2. If we just summarize that real quick. We loved it. It was great. We came home, got back, and I'm trying to remember. 2-3 days later, Melody and I left for our time away, and that's a whole nother story. I mean, we tried to figure out what is it that works well for us to go do a trip together, because we've always believed in vacationing. Just the 2 of us, even with our family. And we've always done that. We've always found ways to do that. Sometimes that was just us. Sometimes it was with other couples. But we've done that throughout our marriage, and it's been good. But even that, a lot of times vacation is, let's go here because I know she's going to love that. Or let's go do this because I'm going to enjoy that. And we are different people. I mean, y'all, we have a marriage like most people. It is not perfect. It has arguments and all those types of things. And so, but we wanted something that really just fit us, that we could go and both enjoy and all of that. So we decided we flew into Boston, did a road trip. 7 days, 1,300 miles. So we really did. I mean, I hate to say, we really did road trip. So we drove up into Maine and did Providence and Acadia and Bar Harbor. Decided that we wanted to go up into Canada because we were so close. And so drove up into Canada, did this chocolate factory up there, which was really kind of cool. And the easternmost part of the U.S., the easternmost section of the U.S. As part of the, contiguous U.S., we got to hit it. Then came back down into Boston and caught Salem and Plymouth and Boston and Martha's Vineyard and Rhode Island, and anyway, just we Lexington and Concord, and just so it was really cool because Boston, you could spend a week in Boston, you could spend a week up in Acadia and Bar Harbor and those areas, but it just really fit us. We really, really enjoyed it, and it worked really, really well. And I think again, a needed maybe more than what we realized. And we had a great week, great time together. Now I want to do something similar, but do the Northwest, go catch Oregon, Washington, those types of areas, and do a similar thing. We like to, especially first time to an area, we like to catch as many things as you can. So, we didn't do the 6 or 7 hour hikes. We did the things where you could roll up to it, be there for 30 minutes to an hour, enjoy, take it in, roll on to the next place. And we did a lot of that. And so really enjoyed it. Melody had lobster every night, or 3 nights in a row. I mean, fresh Maine lobster and it was like $30 for the whole dinner. Whereas like here, that's going to be $60. So
It's lobster.
it was good.
It's not lobster.
Lobster.
I'm not a big lobster person, so I did fish and chips. But it was really good too. So we had a lot of fun and really enjoyed. I got to drive a Bronco, one of the new Broncos, and that was fun. And it affirmed that I didn't want to buy one, so that was even better. So all that was a great time. We got back from that on a Tuesday. Tiger was supposed to be picking us up from the airport. And as we're sitting there waiting, I see the church bus coming through the airport. You know, that's always fun. Get the church bus picking you up from the airport. And then all the guys were on there. And they would not talk church with us. I tried asking questions and they wouldn't talk. And then left again for the last week. Within about 24 hours, I turned around, washed clothes, loaded back up, and headed out what I call a pastor's tour. Went up to Lexington, Kentucky, and saw a couple guys, friends, and down through Western Kentucky and Clarksville, Tennessee, and Jackson, Tennessee, and just spent I spent some time in Paris and went back to Maplewood Baptist Church where I pastored for 14 years. It was the first time I had been at a worship service there since I had left, and it was great to be back there. And it really just spent time talking to guys, talking about, you know, anything from family life to how's church going, convention issues, just where we are at the church, what's coming up, hurdles, all kind of just a re-engaging ministry type of time. But it was really, it wasn't just one thing. It was just kind of all over the board. And it wasn't, it was not forced. It was very, all right, whatever came up in conversation. Yeah. It wasn't like some agenda-driven type of thing, other than to get together and see people. And I think even with that, a couple things born out of that for me. And I spent some time with a pastor who, for about 10 years now, he's been doing he would call it a pastor's conference, but it's really just a time for him to get together younger pastors. He pays for everything for them to come in. And he spends time with them for 2 or 3 days, just gives them some encouragement and direction and all those types of things. And he's now basically worked that into it's an extension of his ministry inside the life of his church. And this is a guy that's probably a little bit older than me, 10, 15 years older than me. And I'm thinking, man, that's what I want.
Yeah.
To end well, in ministry somewhere along the way, whenever that comes. But along the way, man, let's be empowering people behind us, encouraging that to take place, instead of holding on and continuing to talk about how something isn't ready. Do something about it. And so, just a neat conversation. Funny, the guy, I'll tell you a name later. I don't want to tell, but he pastored in Tallahassee and had at one point in time met Bobby Bowden, and
The greatest Baptist that ever lived.
he decided to come join his church.
Yep.
And I mean, they did some incredible things together. And part of what this became was out of some of that relationship.
That's cool.
And anyway, the guy knows everybody in the world, it feels like. I mean, like, so anyway, it was just really, really neat to see how some of that stuff, he's been able to extend his ministry into some of these other areas. Yeah, anyways, it was challenging to get to hear that, to think, all right, what would that look like for me somewhere down there?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, a lot of fun. So yeah, that's my 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Then we were back and been drinking out of a fire hose since. It feels like. So anyway.
Yeah. Catching up on the things that went on while you were gone, and then trying to think through what God spoke to you while you were away and how that infuses with what you're moving into moving forward.
Yeah.
And well, just from our perspective, obviously Jason's done it. Austin and I are going to experience this. And so it really is something that it's a blessing. Number one, that the church had the foresight to think about this. And honestly, I don't want this to be a bad thing, but to have thought about it and implemented it when they implemented it says something about it.
Yeah.
You know, the leadership at that time. So we were grateful for that.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you for sharing. Thank you for kind of painting that picture for everybody that had not heard that story yet. And obviously it had a major impact on you.
Yeah.
And a positive impact. And so we are grateful for that. So thank you for joining us for this episode of Seymour from the front pew as Shelby.
Shelby wanted to be a part of the episode.
Shelby
She just exercised a demon.
dropping the sneeze in. Very, very good. All right. Thanks again for listening. As always, we appreciate your comments and questions about maybe future broadcasts. And we welcome all of those. And we look forward to being with you again in the very near future. Let's say bye, fellas.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Seymour from the Front Pew. Our sole desire for this podcast is to glorify God by educating and encouraging His body. If you would like to learn more about anything you've heard today, feel free to reach out by email at staff@seymourfbc.org or by visiting our website at seymourfbc.org. If you're located near our community and do not have a church home, come worship with us at 10:15 a.m. on Sunday morning. Until then, we pray God's richest blessings on you and yours as you love God, love others, make disciples, and live the life.